Hello and welcome to this episode of Math with Martinez. In this video, we are going to describe and analyze the relationship between a function and its inverse, including restrictions that we see on domain and range. So let's go ahead and begin. What exactly is the inverse? What do we mean by that? The inverse of a relation is simply a relation that reverses another relation. And the way that we denote that, the way that we write the inverse of a relation, if the relation was R, would be to take R and then write that little R with a -1 as kind of like a superscript there. You would read this as the inverse of R. That's how we read this. You would read this as, let's write that, read the inverse of R. And so given the relation here below R, the inverse is going to reverse it. What you're going to notice here, let me take a moment and do a little bit of highlighting. Let's take our X values, highlight them green, our range values, and highlight them blue. What a inverse relation will do is take and reverse the input, which are your X's, and your output, which are your Y values. Do you see how they have been reversed? Now, what was once an X value is a Y value. What was once the X value is now the Y value, and what was once the Y value is our X value. They didn't change positive or negative. They didn't like flip with each other and regroup in different ways. No. They just reversed. They just switched X and Y, input and output. Now, a one-to-one function is a function that has what we call one-to-one relationship A function has a one-to-one relationship if this is true, if the relation and its inverse. The relation and the inverse, both of them, are functions. So they both have to be functions, the original relation and the inverse, for it to be considered a one-to-one function. Now you'll recall from just a bit earlier when we reviewed the idea of a vertical line test. We use that, we run it over a graph like this one down below, this one down here. We run it across these. Okay, these are all functions because it only touched it once. But we're going to now see a horizontal line test. We run the horizontal line test to determine whether the whether the inverse of a relation is a function. Both the relation and its inverse must be a function in order for it to be a one-to-one function. So let's see, what does that look like? I'm going to do my vertical line test. Let's do our vertical line test in red, and we'll do our horizontal line test in What color should we use? Let's do it in blue. Okay, so let's see. Is what we're looking at down below here, are these going to be one-to-one functions? Well, if I run my vertical line across this, yep, that is working. So the original is a function. Now, if I run my horizontal line across it, oh yeah, it only touches that straight line graph once. So with that, we can say yes, that this is a one-to-one. Now, let's check and see about the next one. If I run my vertical line across this, does it work? Does that work? Sure does. It passes that test. It's only touching at one point. But if I run my horizontal line across this graph, oh my goodness, do you see that I am touching many, many points? Because I have touched many points with my horizontal line test, I know that the inverse here is not a function, so we would respond, no, this is not a one-to-one function. It's a function, but not a one-to-one function. How about number 3? When we run a vertical line across this, at any point, it will only touch one point, like we saw previously. So we're good there. Now, what if I run a horizontal line across this? If I run a horizontal line across, I actually am only, once again, touching just one point. So this is a one-to-one function. Cool, cool. So we've got 2 that are one-to-one and 1 that is not. What do you guys think about 4? Is this a one-to-one function? Passes the vertical line test. Passes the horizontal line test. So this one is one-to-one. What about 5? Is that a one-to-one function? Passes the vertical line test. But when I run a horizontal line, it is a horizontal line. It's not just touching once, it touches all the time. So this is no, not a one-to-one function. All right, what about 6? Is 6 a one-to-one function? All right, when we take our vertical line, what happens? Oof, it does not pass the vertical line test. So it is not a function. It is not a function. Even if I run, my horizontal line, it passes that one, but it didn't pass the vertical line test, that first test. And so it is not going to be a one-to-one function. Y'all, that is it for our video right now. If you had any questions about identifying one-to-one functions and using these tests to determine that, then let me know. Let me know. Leave a little question or a mark, and that'll be it for now. You know what we say every time. Until next time, stay fired up.